Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast Special Edition show. We are doing these series of episodes to preview and predict how the NFL offseason will play out. This is going to be the 11th of 32 shows, and this show will be for the Detroit Lions. So you know the deal by now. Free agents to be, team needs, franchise tag candidate, trade candidate, release candidate, extension candidate, draft fit, free agent fit, a bold prediction, and a lot more. And now is the Lions. All right, free agents to be. Josh Reynolds, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Jonah Jackson, Halapoulivaati Vayati, the guard, Kindle Vildor, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Emmanuel Mosley, Will Harris, and Michael Badgley, the kicker, who I'm not a fan of. So they do have some interesting free agents, obviously. Team needs wide receiver, guard. They have to replace both guards, cornerback, safety, defensive tackle, inside linebacker, outside linebacker. Okay, so the franchise tag candidate, we're going to go with Jonah Jackson. Out of all their guys that are going to be free agents, I think he's their best of the soon-to-be free agents. Jonah Jackson is somebody that had a decent season for the Lions. A couple decent seasons. PFF didn't grade him very well, but he was hurt a lot. 2 sacks allowed, 5 penalties this past season. And then didn't allow a sack in 2022. So you can make a case Jonah Jackson is a little overrated as an offensive lineman, but he was the starting guard on a team that made the NFC title game, and he's not terrible. Just Pro Football Focus thinks he's overrated. That's all. But I do think he is a franchise tag candidate on this team. Maybe they'll do Vayati, the other guard. So we'll see about that. And Vayati barely played this year. 1 sack allowed, 192 snaps played. Graded out well. Didn't play in 22 and 21. 3 penalties, 68.4 overall grade, 953 snaps. So maybe they'll franchise tag him instead of Jonah Jackson, but I think it's going to be Jonah Jackson that they will ultimately place the tag on. Trade candidate. I'm going to say Derek Barnes. The reason why I say Derek Barnes is because Jack Campbell, who they picked in the first round last year, needs to play. Or else that's a wasted first-round pick. So Derek Barnes is young enough that somebody could acquire in a deal. Pro Football Focus did not grade him well this past season or the season before. But he's barely played, but he was starting for them. And he's improved since his rookie season. So I can see Derek Barnes as a trade candidate. There's a couple other guys. I mean, the ballsy one would have been David Montgomery. But I wasn't going there. That was too successful for them. I mean, can you see it being Cam Sutton? Could you see it potentially being Brian Branch? Doubt it. Because they have to pay some guys down the road. Hendon Hooker, maybe? 3rd-round pick. Brock Wright, the tight end. I mean, there's a couple guys you could talk yourselves into, but to me, the logical one is Derek Barnes from a let Jack Campbell play kind of deal. Okay, release candidate. I'm going to say Alex Anzalone. Anzalone is somebody that is bounced around a little bit. Former New Orleans State. Veteran. Actually had a decent year on the Lions this year. Been in the league since 2017. You could argue this was his best season. Never really graded out well in Pro Football Focus until this past season. But I could see a world where he's cut. And he signed to a multi-year deal. So that's the guy that just jumped out at me as like a cut candidate. I do not see them cutting Taylor Decker. I do not see them cutting Frank Ragnow. Those are rocks on their offensive line. But I could see it being Alex Anzalone for sure. Extension candidate. This is easy. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a stud. He is a WR1 in this league. He's a top 10 receiver in this league. He's just an automatic red zone guy. And he is a big, big part of that Lions offense. And that's the guy that they must lock up long term. So that was easy. Next year it's going to be Aiden Hutchinson, let's be honest. So absolutely Amon-Ra St. Brown. That, to me, is just a very easy call in terms of the extension candidate on this team. And he's a free agent in a year from now, so they have to extend him. Have to, because he wasn't a first-round pick. He doesn't have the fifth-year option. So they gotta extend him. I mean, you could argue they have to do it before the season, because then there's going to be all the distractions about extension talk and franchise tag, and Amon-Ra St. Brown don't want that. So they gotta pony up and pay him. And that, like I said, that's the easiest call on the board. Although Penny Steele they have to pay too, but they can wait until next offseason to pay him because he has the fifth-year option. Amon-Ra St. Brown doesn't have the fifth-year option. So they have to pay Amon-Ra St. Brown before the season. Or else it could get very, very tricky in a year from now. The draft fit. I'm going to go with Jackson Powers Johnson, the guard out of Oregon. This is easy. Their two guards might both leave as free agents, if not definitely one of them. So I really believe that they are in play to draft a guard, and Powers Johnson makes a lot of sense. There's other guys that make sense for them as well. Quinion Mitchell, the corner out of Toledo. Byron Murphy out of Texas. Ennis Rakostow out of Missouri. Troy Fatano of Washington. Leonard Taylor out of Miami. Kamari Lassiter out of Georgia. Gary Cooper out of Texas A&M. So yeah, there's a lot of guys whose fit I like on the Lions. TJ Tampa out of Iowa State. So there's a lot of guys, but to me the one that makes the most sense is Powers Johnson, because they're probably going to lose one of those guards in free agency. So sticking Powers Johnson into one of those spots is just an ideal replacement. Free agent fit. I'm going to go with Stephon Gilmore. Gilmore's a veteran, coming off that Cowboys season. Been in a lot of big games over the years with New England and with Dallas. And the fit on him on a team like Detroit, with would be a lot of fun. And I think Detroit wants to make a big splash this offseason. So Gilmore on a 1 or a 2 year deal here makes a lot of sense. And he's not washed up by any stretch of the imagination. I know he's going to be 34 years old by the time we're in next season, but Stephon Gilmore on Detroit makes a lot of sense. There's a couple other free agents that make some sense for the Lions. If they want to go bold, Chris Jones, if he hits, Chris Jones, if he hits the market, or Justin Madubuike, Christian Wilkins, one of those run defenders. If they sign Jalen Johnson away from the Bears, that would be wild. Michael Pittman makes some sense on the Lions as like a number 2, 2.5 type of receiver. I don't think they would sign Mike Evans. That would just be kind of weird because they already have Amon-Ra St. Brown. So they don't have to go expensive at wide receiver in free agency if they were to go that route. Kendall Fuller makes some sense for them as a free agent as well. But my bold prediction for this team in the offseason is that they will sign L'Jarius Sneed away from the Kansas City Chiefs, 4 years, $52 million. Yes. I have L'Jarius Sneed leaving the champs and getting handsomely paid by a team that is up and coming and trying its best to get themselves to the Super Bowl after coming oh so close. So that makes a lot of sense. They haven't needed the position, and they need help on their defense, and he's still really young. And let's see how old he is. He's 27. So if they sign him to a 4-year deal, that would take him till his age 31 season. So Sneed on Detroit makes a lot of sense. All right, potential futures for this team. They're the 4th choice to win the Super Bowl at like 12-1, which is crazy. I want to see Amon-Ra St. Brown Offensive Player of the Year. That would be a fun, long shot possibility for them next year. And the other one I want to see, granted their defense has a bad reputation, but Aiden Hutchinson Defensive Player of the Year I want to see. That's probably going to be in like that 30-1 range or something like that. The Lions, I'm not convinced that they're going to be favored to win their own division come next season. But right now, if you ask me, they probably will be the favorites. But the reason why I say that is because if the Bears keep Justin Fields and make one big move and draft Marvin Harrison Jr., that could be the favorite. The Packers with Jordan Love, if they make a big move and extend Jordan Love, maybe that could be the favorite. If Minnesota re-signs Kirk Cousins and makes a couple improvements on the defensive side of the ball, maybe they're the favorites. So I think the NFC North is going to be the hardest prediction to make in 2024 for the season. So the Lions will probably be favored, but it's not going to be at minus money. It's probably going to be like plus 140 or something like that. Or maybe that's a little high, but maybe plus 125. I don't see anybody in that division being higher than 4-1 come 2024 season, unless if the Vikings lose Kirk Cousins. So that's going to be an interesting division, of course. And Detroit is Probably going to go in as the favorite, but I feel like a lot of people are going to pick Green Bay because of Love's emergence. And if Justin Fields is still on the Chicago Bears, I think people will pick them as well. But if it's Caleb Williams, then that's probably a last place team unless the Vikings lose Kirk Cousins. So, yeah. So there you have it for the Lions. And next up is, speaking of the Green Bay Packers, they are next in this show.